Welcome to the Whiskey with Winners podcast, the show with business titans sharing their stories of the highs and lows of entrepreneurship. Sit back, relax, grab your favorite glass of whiskey, and listen to the real and raw stories of these industry leaders. Now, here's your host, the man, the myth, the legend, the most interesting marketer, Jacob Fail.
What's up, everybody? It's Jacob Fell, the most interesting marketer, and I have a very special guest on the Whiskey with Winners podcast today. We have Kyree Oliver. He was featured on Fox, MSN, ABC, CNBC. He has a book that's coming soon. He's the owner of Influx and a social media master, and I'm proud to have him on my podcast. So welcome, Kyree. How's it going?
Yeah, thanks for having me on, man. Doing well.
All right, perfect. So kind of tell us a little bit about your background and, what was your childhood like? Like, where did you grow up? What was your family life like? And just tell us a little bit about the backstory behind Kyree Oliver.
Yeah, so I grew up in Antioch, California. It's in Northern California. Single mom, myself, and then my brother. Dad was kind of there for the most part. We'd see him maybe about once a month, but for the most part, I grew up with my mom and her family. Where I grew up, really, people don't do much outside of whatever their parents did. And so it was just expected that you kind of graduate from high school. Maybe some people go to college, but for the most part, you just start kind of working either for the electric company or for the steel mill in town or for the paper mill in town. It was kind of like it was just a very there wasn't much room for growth or expansion there. Mm-hmm. And so my brother and I both got the opportunity to play Division I football in college. So we kind of got to break out of that box a little bit and just see that there's a whole lot more opportunity out there.
Yeah.
And then I ended up moving back home, but still had that pull of this isn't the place for me.
Right.
And so I started my business in 2015. I just started doing it for a friend of mine. He had hired a marketing company that just was garbage. And they were throwing his money away. They just didn't do a good job. I found out that they were buying him followers from the Philippines. He was just trying to grow on Facebook at the time.
Yeah. And
I basically just said, hey, look, stop working with them. Let me figure out how to do this for you. I just started interviewing. At this point, I've now interviewed almost 900 people. At the time, I'd probably interviewed about 250 people. Just not even for business, just life. I was trying to figure myself out. I was 19 at the time, 20. And so I was just trying to figure out how to navigate the world and what it looks like and what makes people successful, what makes people unsuccessful, what makes people happy and unhappy. And I realized when I got into kind of the back end of, Facebook advertising and marketing, all I needed to figure out was who the people were that we're talking to and what they needed to hear from us in order to take advantage of our offer. And so marketing just made sense because I understood people. And I just kind of kept that trend going. I've now interviewed, it's probably 880 or 890 people now.
Nice.
And it's just deepened my knowledge of people. And then it's deepened my knowledge of marketing as well. So to this day, I've never read a marketing book. I've never taken a marketing course. I've never had a marketing coach. I kind of just went in and started trying to figure out how we're relating to people and how then we obviously sell to people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely. That's awesome. And how old are you now?
I'm 25. We'll be 26 in actually 3 weeks from today.
Oh, nice. So we're about the same age. I'm 26, about to be 27. You don't look it, and I'm pretty sure that you get told this on every podcast, but you look way older.
All the time.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, so how did you begin your business? Like, what got you into it? I know you said you were helping your friend, but was that the catalyst? And have you always been an entrepreneur, like growing up? Because I know, like, for me growing up, I was slinging candy bars and stuff at school. And then, like that kind of sparked the interest, and just from there it just, took off. So tell me your story on that.
Yeah. So
that started.
I think little glimpses of it as a kid. I remember we had this buddies program in my elementary school where the kindergartners would have the fifth graders come in and tell us, all about what they've experienced and everything. And then when you're in fifth grade, you have high schoolers come in and just kind of talk to you about high school life. And It's funny because back then high schoolers were like adults to us. And
Right.
then I remember they would line up all these different jobs for you, and you would take this little test and it would tell you what type of job is best for you. And I got entrepreneur back then, but I didn't know that it was just because I was a little bit more of a free thinker. But I had some attachment to it at the time. It was like, ooh, this is different than everybody else got. I like that it's different. I didn't realize it was also just very natural for me. And so I don't think I always knew I'd be an entrepreneur, but I knew I wasn't going to do something very traditional. It's just that wasn't going to be in me at all.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice.
So,
Now how did that and sports shape you in your journey? Because I know that sports, you have to have a lot of discipline with that, and also growing up, doing these entrepreneurial things. How did that come into play with you and growing your business and the mindset? Because you said that you do masculinity training and different relationship training. So dive into that and how that sports helped all of that and growing that.
Yeah, I think sports taught me resourcefulness. I think that's the biggest thing. I was an offensive lineman, so as soon as you take that first step, you got to just the rest of it figuring something out.
Yep.
The first step is what you can control. Here's how I'm going to set myself up for success. Everything after that is chaos that you have to now manage. And so I think entrepreneurship is very much the same. I can set myself in the right position, but who the hell knows what's going to happen after that? And I have to be able to navigate this in a split second, or else my quarterback gets sacked, or else my running back gets hit behind the line. So I think because of that quick decision making, and then also the ability to go further than anybody else. I'm willing to do more to get to my goal than you're willing to do to get to yours. And that's why I started off working 18 hours a day for the most part when I was learning marketing. I was spending probably $200,000-$300,000 a month for my clients at the time. And I was only making like $2,500 a month because I went to big businesses. Said, if you can guarantee this ad spend, I'll run your ads, but I'll only do it for $500 a month because I really, at the end of the day, I didn't know what I was doing. I just got to learn as I went. Luckily, we didn't lose them money. We actually made them a whole lot of money. Just the ability to figure things out. I was willing to stay up longer than somebody else. I was willing to put in more hours than somebody else. Where there was a problem I ran up against, I was willing to figure it out faster than anybody else. Because as we know, as entrepreneurs, most of your learning and most of your ability to serve people quickly and run against problems is your ability to Google. I need to Google the right thing for the right problem at the right time, and I'm going to get the answer quicker than anybody else is going to get the answer. So when your ad platform makes a shift, the person who's able to just know how to circumnavigate that is much quicker to track with their clients than the person who's fumbling around or waiting for the next course to come out or waiting for what Ryan Dice is going to say about it or what Ty Lopez is going to say about it. You have to learn how to do that on your own. And that was just natural for me at that point.
Yeah. Well, and that's the way that I like to learn, is a school of hard knocks. I mean, you make a mistake one time and you're not going to make it again. You have something that's negative that happens to you, or a bad business deal, or you don't sign a contract on something that you should. And then, that like that happened to me one time. I didn't sign a contract and lost out on $7,000. That was my first big step into entrepreneurship, and it was a negative experience, but here I am on top now, keeping, pushing and growing. And that was, for me, that was the bank's money. That was a loan. It wasn't even my money at that point whenever I first got into entrepreneurship. And so, that's what I like to learn is a school of hard knocks, but also, for me, I hire mentors and coaches and different things to help get me there quicker and get me there faster. But definitely us as entrepreneurs, being able to Google and being able to learn and staying up late nights, the late night hustle, the late night grind, as I call it, it definitely pushes you to that next level. So from your perspective with running, millions of dollars of Facebook ads, and, you spent over, I believe, $6 million now, and you've generated 40 million for your clients. Now,
we're just past 2 mil.
Okay, perfect. So what like from that experience, what trials and tribulations in your own personal life, your own business, and in your clients' businesses have you seen?
I would say that the basis is the more we understood our audience and the more we understood how to speak to them, the better we did across the board. Again, people try to bring it back to some marketing tactic, and it never is. We're marketing to people, therefore we need to understand people. The platform's easy to understand. I don't care whether I've coached people how to now market on TikTok, and I'm not very big on TikTok. I'll spend some time on it because I think it's funny. But I don't understand the platform, but I understand the people who use the platform. And that's how we generate money off of it. That's how we generate interest off of it. It really doesn't matter what platform they're using. If we understand the people who are using that platform and why they're there, what they need from it, then we can cater to those needs with our offer, especially what's going on right now. Like, I wish there were more podcasts right now talking about how to handle marketing in this time. Everybody's attention is on Facebook and Instagram right now because there's nothing else to do.
Exactly.
They're tanking, and it's unnecessary. Most people just don't know how to pivot. They don't know how to transition. The money, people are still willing to spend money. They're just not willing to spend money on you because you haven't made you important enough to them.
Yep. 100%. 100%. And that's what we're doing in our agency. And that's what we've seen with several other agencies and some of the groups that I'm in is pivoting to more of a done with you product or, a course sale or something like that, because now people have all this time. You're stuck in quarantine for, a whole month. What are you going to do? Watch my course or, let me do 6 coaching sessions with you and help you get to that next level. So where you never have to talk to a marketing guy like myself ever again, and teach you the ropes. And I think that's very important. What have you seen, as far as in your clients' businesses and your own business with this shift? Because I know tons and tons of small businesses are going to be wiped out because of this, because they're living from paycheck to paycheck. They got to pay their employees, small restaurants are going to close. What have you seen during this coronavirus that you think businesses should do, and what have you seen in your own experience?
Yeah. So, it's going to be hard for like restaurants, small businesses like that. You can't do dine-in. So you're kind of limited to people coming in, picking up food and leaving, which it helps you by not having to have all your staff there, but it also hurts you because, you don't get near the clientele throughout the day. So for those businesses, I'd say it's a lot more difficult. But a lot of brick and mortar. So like my friend works with MMA gyms and he teaches like how to sell memberships and how to stay afloat. We started talking about giving them an online subscription model where you're not now coming to class, you're now coming to the Zoom call where we're teaching the class. And obviously you're not actually rolling with somebody. You can't actually physically be there with somebody unless you have to live with somebody else who's doing it. But you're still able to learn the techniques, the tools, the tricks, the everything through this training program that we're going to sell to you for, your normal memberships, let's say $100 a month. We're going to charge you $27 or $47 a month for this online version in the meantime while we can't come into the gym. So it's not necessarily how do I fix my current offer? Sometimes it's how do I transition my offer to fit this new model of what people are using.
Yeah,
so I think
100%.
The answer's out there of how do I switch my offer to cater to people who are sitting at home, can't go out of their houses. And sometimes it takes a lot of creativity. Sometimes it takes hiring an expert who's done it for other businesses before. But I think almost any business can figure out how to create that new service or offer to cater to what we have going on right now.
Yeah, 100%. And that's a good point because like my brother, he owns an escape room, right? You have to be in the escape room to be able to do all the games and to be all inside of the game. But what he did is he found an online escape room that it's an app that you can walk around your house and it'll give you different puzzles to solve. So he pivoted and he now, white labels that app for, $27 or whatever. So now people that are stuck inside, even if they don't want to come to his, he still gets an affiliate commission and he's still able to make money, even though that everybody can't come to his actual brick and mortar business.
Yeah.
And whenever I saw him post that yesterday or 2 days ago, I was like, perfect. You found the way out. So, which is great.
And I think this is what a lot of people talked about, like separating the people who are supposed to be here online and the people who like this wasn't for them in the first place. They were just taking advantage of it's popular, it's a fun thing to do. I know a lot of guys who are doing $400,000 or $500,000 a month in e-com and are completely wiped out now and have no idea how to pivot their business because they really didn't have any business sense. They had something that tripped and fell on that was successful.
Yep. Well, and that's the problem too with a lot of younger guys like myself and you is these guys start getting successful and they don't put money up, into like real investments. They're not, buying rental houses. They're not buying, investing in different businesses that are recession proof. And they put all this money up, you see the guys with the Lambos and all the different stuff, and they piss all the money away. And they're not actually building real investments that are going to last for a lifetime. My goal is to build generational wealth that I can pass down, and I want to give half my fortune away. I want to be worth $8 billion to give $4 billion of that away to 2 different charities that I'm very passionate about. And like that's my life goal. And I want to build a legacy around that. And, that's my personal purpose, and I would like to hear if you have a purpose like that. I don't know if what you're passionate about, or, if you have a life mission or a life goal. And I know that you want to help men with masculinity and relationships and things like that. Is that your passion? Or?
Definitely. So marketing was actually just to learn how to market for myself. I thought I was going to market for like maybe 6 months and then do my own coaching and everything. And I just kind of slipped and fell on something I liked. Again, my ability to navigate and figure out human behavior problems was why marketing was interesting to me. I'm not a metrics guy. I'm not an analytical person. I'm not like a type A that would fit in the typical marketing role.
Right.
But I realized like because I'm sociable, I'm incredibly extroverted, I'm good at networking. That's also helped when most marketers are very introverted. They're not good at going out and making connections. They're not good at establishing rapport with other people. I was the anti-marketer who just happened to be good at marketing at the end of the day. And it's been interesting because I have marketers who are friends of mine. I've got other marketers who I have to tell them, shut up. Like if they come over for dinner, I have a 10% business rule in my house. We talk 10% business, figure something else out to talk about. 90% of the time you're in my house, you do not get to talk about business. You do not get to talk about empire building. We're not doing that. We get to be regular people and do regular stuff sometimes.
Yeah.
And it's been an interesting thing. But the coaching is definitely more of the passion-driven thing for me. Every single thing I do right now is for my future kids. I don't have any kids yet, but I've been dreaming about my kids since I was 19. I've been writing about them since I was probably 20 or 21. I'm just very, very – I have a very vivid vision of just what my future children, what their lives will look like, and where I'd like to lead them down. I would say a lot of what I'm supposed to do here is taking that expertise and teaching it to people who don't really have that. So at the end of the day, like I didn't have the singular father figure to show me, hey, here's what being a man looks like. And here's step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. And I think a lot of my work will be in helping other people who didn't have that learn to navigate that path, because I had to go learn it from coaches, from teachers, from other kids, dads. And I mean, it made me more resourceful. It made me learn nobody's going to hand this to me. I got to go find it. But at the same time, it would have been great to be able to have somebody sit you down and say, here are the pillars. Here's what you need to stand on. Here's a good foundation for you for manhood. Now go out and create the rest of it for yourself. I think that's probably what a lot of my work will be, is helping people create that foundation and then help them navigate the rest.
Yeah. And that's powerful too. Like a lot of people don't realize, how hard it is coming from a split home and not having that foundation to grow upon, and not having those pillars, as you said. But it does, like you said, it does teach you resourcefulness, which, like Tony Robbins says, resourcefulness is one of the most powerful, things that you can have. It's not a lack of, it's not a lack of having resources. It's your lack of resourcefulness. And the more resourceful you are, you're able to meet with these different people. Like me, ever since I was like 18, 19, I've been meeting with high level CEOs, and like that's my superpower. Like I can get in front of these guys. Like I met the founder of Hot Cheetos in like a small town. I paid $75 to go to this business meeting, and he was there. Yeah. And then I talked to him, and I bridged the gap with him because he was on my friend's podcast, and eventually, hopefully, he'll be on mine. But just putting yourself in those positions to get to that next level and to meet with higher level people, because it elevates your status as well, and you're able to, that's just it goes to show you the resourcefulness. Like whenever, well, I'll give you an example. So whenever, Richard Montañez, the guy for the founder of Hot Cheetos, he was saying that he used to put all these hot Cheetos, like his wife helped him make the recipe, and he would go into all these, lower class urban communities and put all the hot Cheetos on the shelf. And whenever he was in the executive meeting, like whenever they came out and saw him, they asked him how big his market share was. And he didn't know what to say. So he said, it's this big, right? And opened his arms as wide as he could, because he was talking about the shelf size, right? Yeah. And then like everybody started laughing at him. But then the CEO just stood up and started clapping and said, like, and he looked around at all the other employees, and he was like, do you not realize what this man just said? He said that we have an open market, a blue ocean that we can go attack, right? And he was literally a janitor, throwing Cheetos, like the plain Cheetos, in a garbage bag and taking them home, doing his recipes at night. He didn't have any resources other than chili powder and these blank Cheetos that he had, that he was storing in his garbage bag while he was a janitor. So having that resourcefulness and being able to pivot, especially in times like now with the coronavirus and all the craziness happening, you have to be resourceful, and you have to be able to take things online, or you have to be able to do, like I primarily work with realtors and loan officers. So I'm telling them to do virtual showings, virtual consults, different things like that, because you can still get a good portion of the work done. And then as soon as all this stuff's over, you go right to closing, So what is some of the like biggest reasons that you've seen from people in the past that have failed or they've given up? Like what's the difference between successful people and people that fail or they give up too soon? Like what's your take on that?
Yeah. I'd say one is an inability to differentiate themselves from the rest of the market. Mm-hmm. So there's just no defining factor to them. They're just the same as the next guy. Why would I not pay the next guy who's cheaper than pay you over here who's even maybe a few $100s more expensive? There's nothing to differentiate you from that other person. Mm-hmm. So like for myself, when I run marketing campaigns, my minimum monthly retainer is $6,000 a month. Mm-hmm. But I have friends who can't figure out how to charge more than $1,500, and they can't figure out why. There's nothing that sets you apart from those other people. So why would they pay more? Where for me, I haven't reached out to a client in probably 2 years, like to get a client in probably 2 years. Right. It's just coming in from referrals or who find me through my brand. There's a positioning that I think a lot of people don't understand that hinders them from being able to generate business. Follow through, I'd say, is another big one. When you get a reputation of not following through or not getting the results for your clients, and it's over and over again, people start to recognize that and say, I don't want to take the chance here anymore because the rate of return isn't nearly what I would need it to be, and I can't guarantee that I actually get the work done for me anyway.
Yeah, 100%. Now, since you mentioned brand, how important is that? Because I'm currently rebuilding my brand, and I know how important it is. So, what's your take on that and building a brand and the authority behind it?
Yeah, so I mean, there's difference. It's different between a personal brand and a business brand. I'd say personal brands rely a whole lot more on the figurehead, obviously. It relies a whole lot more on your ability to convey a message to your audience. As a business or as a corporation as a whole, it's a lot more tied to just the work done, and people don't care about much else. So I think you have like sort of a toss-up, and I would say you go towards what you're more naturally inclined. If you're more naturally extroverted, charismatic, your ability to articulate yourself is very high, I would say the personal brand is probably very smart.
Right.
If you're very process-oriented, here's our process, here's our systems, it's boring, but it works. You go more for the business brand side.
Gotcha. Now, what are some things that people should look out for, and what would you suggest when hiring a marketing expert? Like what should they look out for whenever they're trying to hire someone to run their Facebook ads or Instagram ads?
I would say gauging their direct responses when it comes to solving your problem you have. Like, I know a lot of people who are good at getting projects because they can kind of skirt around specific questions and they can speak very generally about marketing, and they don't know how to dig into what do you specifically need. And I would say gauging their ability to identify your exact problem. When you say, hey, here's a project, here's what we're looking to do, here's what we're looking to accomplish, when they can start poking holes in what you're currently doing and say, hey, maybe here's a better process for us to do, here's what I would put in here, here's what I would inject into this space. The marketers who are willing to share more openly and freely, here's what our process should look like, I would say are usually the ones who are a lot more experienced, because like I don't run funnels. I don't touch funnels. I don't design anything. I don't do back-end email sequences, but I've worked on enough projects that I can start to tell you when your funnel process is messed up, or when you have an extra page or an extra step that's unnecessary, that's going to cause people to drop off and not buy your program. I can tell when your webinar is too long. I can tell when there's not enough information on the sales page. When your marketer can start to dig into the project as a whole and say, I want to take this whole thing on as, part of what I'm interested in, that's probably the person you're going to want to work with. Sometimes, even if they're less of an expert than the next guy, just because they're going to take it a little bit more seriously, they're going to be a little bit more committed to the end result.
Yeah, definitely. That's awesome. So you mainly work with coaches and consultants. So is your unique value proposition that, you help them with the whole entire process from start to finish, with the webinars, the sales pages? What do you do for the coaches and consultants?
Just Facebook ads. I only run ads, Facebook and Instagram ads, and that's it. I always refer out to everything else. But again, the value prop there is I understand your people, and many times better than you understand them. You may have been coaching for 5, 6, 7 years. As far as our ability to find them on social media, the ones who have never heard of you, my ability to identify them and communicate with them effectively is higher than 99% of other people. And
that's because you use psychology and everything.
Repetitions with people. Think about, I intimately know almost 900 people. Like, I've dug into their lives. I've dug into why they are who they are, what events have created that, what mindset shifts they've made to either become successful or failures. I've interviewed almost any type of person you could possibly think of, from guys who, one of actually my good friends now, I started off interviewing him, and he was addicted to heroin for 17 years. And he has a running clock on his phone of like how long he's been sober.
Oh, wow.
I've interviewed monks. I've interviewed 3 death row inmates. I've interviewed doctors, lawyers, a bunch of different entrepreneurs, 7 different billionaires. I've just interviewed all types of people just to learn their perspectives and what's made them, positives or negatives in their lives. But all the way down to like what keeps you up at night, just weird questions that most people wouldn't ask. But it gave me a glimpse into how they view themselves in the world around them, which allows me, again, to then take a step back and say, how would I sell them something of value?
I love that. So tell me about those interviews. Like, is that for a podcast, or was that just personal for you to just get to know them? Or
no, it was for me to get to know me.
Oh.
So I was 19 when I started doing it. I just wanted to have a grasp on the world. I knew that I wanted to coach people. I knew I wanted to help people, but 19 years of experience, well, I'd say I had more life experience than most 19-year-olds at the time.
Right.
I didn't have nearly enough to be able to really say I can cause an impactful change in your life, just like with a few sessions with me. But I wanted that.
Right.
So the question is, how do I gain so much experience without having to spend the time, the 30 years to go get it? And I realized that borrowing other people's experiences was going to get me there, at least as close as I possibly could be. And so, like, when people talk to me, even without my face now, if you were to talk to me on the phone, you would never assume that I'm 25.
Right.
I usually get somewhere between like 35 and 38 when they can't see my face.
Right.
And I think when people say, because I don't have proof that I've done all these interviews, my proof is who I am as a person.
Yeah.
I've been shaped by a whole lot of different experiences that are not my own. That has made me articulate myself the way I do. That's made me carry myself the way I do. That's made me conduct business the way that I do. And I think it's all a testament to I've just been very interested in how other people have moved through life. I've done 65 end-of-life interviews with terminal patients. I've just done so many different things with so many different people. I just have a good grasp of why we do the things we do.
Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Especially the end of life ones and the death row inmates, being able to see their perspective.
Those are crazy.
And being able to see their perspective and being able to see how that they're in their dying days, what their regrets are and what they wish that they would have done more. And I mean, it's like Gary Vaynerchuk always talks about that he doesn't want to have any regrets, and I'm the same way. I don't want to ever have any regrets of, man, I really should have done this. I really should have did that. And then end up not doing it. And then I regret it looking back on it.
And it provides perspective. I wouldn't say it makes things easier. It provides perspective. Like, I already know what questions I'm going to ask myself at the end of my life. I've seen it over and over and over again. I've seen the patterns of now they would word them differently. They would phrase them differently, but I know what's going to be important to me at the end of my life. So I've decided now to make those the most important things in my life. I only work maybe 30% of my days right now. Everything else is either networking with other people, like creating relationships, or harboring the relationships that I have currently, or learning for the future of those relationships. But 75% of everything I do has nothing to do with business.
So what are those questions that you want to ask yourself at the end of your life?
Did I do what I feel like I was made to do? I think was the biggest one for those people. Like, did I really serve my purpose? And most people, the answer is no. I also think a lot of it was because they didn't identify their purpose. They never stopped and said, what the hell am I supposed to do?
Yeah.
On a macro level, they stopped, at what job am I supposed to have or what decision am I supposed to make here? But on a macro level, like, what is the overall encompassing theme of my life? People don't stop and think about. A lot of it was family time. The most successful men that the most successful men that I had interviewed, there was a guy who I think he said over the course of his life, he'd made over like $800 million. He was in a convalescent home, but his sons hadn't been to visit him in like 7 years. He had 3 sons. And I asked him what if he could go back and change one single thing that would make all the difference, what do you think he would do? And he asked if he could have 3 instead of 1. I said, yes. He said he would have showed up at each of his sons' baseball practices. He had never been to a baseball practice of any of his sons. Didn't go to any of their weddings, didn't go to any of their graduations. He was just too busy. He was always out of the country. He was always doing something else. And at the end of his life, his sons don't give 2 shits about him. And he's sitting in a home alone, 86 years old, about to die. And I think he had like 8 months left, something like that. And like, that's where your life ends. And the question was all the money worth it? He said, no, I would give it all up. I think I put it up against a $48,000 a year job. And he said, I would have taken the $48,000 a year job in a heartbeat.
Damn. That puts a lot of things in perspective too. That's
impactful. Dude, I was 20 listening to this. I was like, holy hell.
Yeah, you're 20 years old sitting there like, oh my gosh, this guy just dropped some wisdom.
But it impacted me. It was, I know money's not the answer.
Yeah.
I know that there's a now what after the money. And that's what I have to figure out. What do people wonder after they made the million, billion, whatever dollars? After they realize money's not enough, then what is important to them?
Yeah. How many lives can you change?
Yeah.
It's the biggest thing. How many people can you impact? That's why I want to make that much money, so I can give all of it away, to be able to impact lives with, people with cystic fibrosis, people with, the Juvenile Diabetes Research Foundation, be able to support the Cystic Fibrosis Foundation, because those are near and dear to my heart, because friends and family have those diseases and they've struggled with them. One of my really good friends, he takes like 20 pills every time he has to eat a meal. Like he dumps them out in his hand, and it's just like 2 handfuls of pills, and he has to take them. But there's no magic drug, right now that can take care of that. I mean, there's 1 or 2, but they do okay. But he still has to take all the other, treatments and do the breathing treatments 3 to 6 times a day. And it's a horrible way to live, and I want to be able to be a part of that, to help them find a cure for that, so where they don't have to live in, that way. And that's my purpose. That's what I want to be known for, is helping people like that. So, which is great. But yeah. So we'll wrap up here shortly. I know we're running kind of long, but I do want to ask you one serious question. If today was your last day, what would Kyree want to be known for?
I haven't done it yet. I would have failed if I died today. So,
but what do you want to be known for?
So I would have been known for, I would say, just being able to go so very far out of my way for the people I've cared about. I'd say probably that's the biggest one that I definitely have accomplished. But again, if I died today, ultimately I would have failed at what I'm supposed to do. But if I was to die today, I'd say the biggest one I've accomplished is the ability to set myself aside and just be or do whatever needs to be done for the people around me.
Yeah, definitely. That's good. So what other advice would you give to people, like from what you've learned from these billionaires and what you've learned from all these interviews? What would your biggest piece of advice to people be? Identify
and chase whatever that passion is, and figure out a way to make money doing it, because you're going to do it anyway. It's what you're supposed to do. And so you figure out how to monetize it, but never focus on the money portion. Figure out how to make money from it, figure out how to make more money from it, but the money's a byproduct of you living through your passion. That's it.
Yep. The more value you provide, the money will always be a byproduct. It'll always come.
It matches with the level of problem you're solving for other people.
Yep, 100%. Cool. So I want a couple of lighthearted questions and fun questions. So what's your favorite business book that you've read? You've never read one?
No.
Favorite
podcast? Development.
Nice. Favorite podcast?
Joe Rogan's, easily.
Joe Rogan. Yeah. This is good. Favorite food?
Steak. Yeah, a good rare steak.
Medium rare?
No, like if it's at a good restaurant, we've got a restaurant here in Arizona called Steak 44. And that's one of the few places I'll get like a blue rare steak, like still cool in the middle.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God.
Sides.
I love it.
Nice. What's your favorite hobby?
Playing with my dogs. Hanging out with my dogs. Yeah, I've got a husky and an Italian mastiff, and they're both goofiest, funniest dogs in the world. Yeah.
Is your Siberian?
Yeah, Siberian husky. That's my first child. He's almost 4, and I've had him since he was like 6 weeks old.
Yeah, that's about how old mine is. I have a full-blooded husky too.
Yeah. I love them. Yeah.
Other than the shedding, that's the only problem.
I'm so down with shedding by now. It's just like a part of it.
Yeah, you just accept it.
Yep.
Cool. Awesome. So how can people reach out to you? How can people find you, contact you? Again, what channels would you want them to connect with you on?
Yeah. Email's fine. So it would be KyreeOliver94@gmail.com. Facebook is facebook.com/KyreeOliver1994. My Instagram, which is @Kyree, Kyree. Those are probably the main channels where I actually check the most. Email would be the least of those. Facebook Messenger or DMs on Instagram would be the easiest way to get a hold of me. If you email me, it'll probably take a week to get back to you.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Well, you have your Better Man book coming out in a year, so I'm looking forward to that. So do you want to give a preview of that?
Nope.
Okay. All right. We'll circle back to that in a year whenever it comes out. And and I'm glad to have you on the Whiskey with Winners podcast, Kyree. Thanks for being a guest. You've been awesome. And we'll definitely connect whenever I'm over there, because I know you're friends with Carlos, so we'll have to connect and go play some poker and stuff.
Open the damn casino back up.
Right? I know. As soon as Cool. Well, I appreciate it, brother. Thank you for being on here, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, thank you again.
Thank you for listening to the Whiskey with Winners podcast, your home for real and raw stories of industry titans. Make sure to click the button below to subscribe. Follow our journey on Instagram @Most Interesting Marketer and Anchor, Stitcher, YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. Remember to always stay humble, stay hungry, and stay focused.
Everything that I'm saying is out of context. Wait, it's not even real.